As a part of these basic pool concepts, now I am explaining computer organization. We already learned every computer system is a composition of different types of components. Now we classify all the components into 6 units depending on their functionality. That means, regardless of configurations, brand, size, type, etc., and all that, all computers are having these 6 units. This is total. This is classification is totally based on the functionality of the units. How many components are there and all that is not consideration here. All the components are classified into 6 units or 6 groups, merely depending on the functionality. Those are input unit, output unit, memory unit, arithmetic and logic unit, it is simply called ALU, control unit, and secondary unit. Here one thing, some people logically, this is one group. This is called central processing unit. Actually, some authors consider fourth and fifth only as CPU. Some other authors, because it is having great participation in this thing, that's a memory also made as part of this. And now you understand this is a very logical thing. And input unit, output unit, and this is a processing unit. Processing unit consists of memory unit, arithmetic and logic unit, and control unit. Thereafter, for permanent storage of the data purpose, secondary memory unit. So these are the 6 units. And now let us draw a figure and how they interact with each other. Here, two types of lines I have written. The first type of line is thick line, second type is dotted line. So dotted thick line represent transmission of data. Data is passed, and through 3D lines only signals, control signals are transmitted. So that you understand. Now let us take one by one. Here input unit, memory unit, output unit, secondary storage unit, and control unit, and ALU. Here once again I am telling you, some people consider the both control unit and ALU as CPU. Some other people, including memory, the 3 parts together called as CPU. Here let us see one by one. Input unit to memory unit. Here data only passed from input unit to memory, only data, thick line. From memory unit to output unit, only data. You know that while you are entering data, that is reading process, and the data is stored in the memory. Final result, whatever final results are generated, first they are stored in the memory, thereafter they are passed to output unit for display. Okay, now thereafter you see, this is the control unit, this is the core part, this is the controller, this is the manager of the entire unit. Now you see, control unit receives data from the memory and sends data to the memory. So that's why arrows both sides have written. At the same time, control units sends signals, control signals to memory. That's why dotted line I have written. Thereafter you see, control unit, wherever arithmetical calculations or logical calculations are there and all that, it sends the data to ALU, process data from ALU, it receives. That's why both sides arrow symbols are there, and it sets control signals. So that is also there. So actually whatever data it receives from the memory, wherever an arithmetical operation or logical operation is to be performed, then it sends it to ALU, arithmetic logic unit. then it performs arithmetical operations or logical operations, and then after processing it sends to control unit. Thereafter, control unit have another it sends the signals to output unit in order to control that. In the same manner, in the same manner, control unit sends control signals to input unit also, and finally, to store the data permanently, input data or processed data permanently and all that. Now it is stored in the secondary storage device, and in the secondary storage device, then it sends the control signals. And here one more is also there, memory to secondary storage device and secondary storage device to memory. And secondary storage device is like a storeroom, and memory is like a kitchen. So in storeroom you cannot prepare food, you can store the data. So whatever is the finished data or semi finished data, all that input data, all are stored in the first memory receives, main memory receives it, and thereafter it is transferred to secondary storage device, and there it is stored. But whenever data is to be processed, then nothing is done here, and in main memory only it is done. That's why the data is passed from secondary storage to main memory. In this manner, you should have a clear picture. Now, computer, we use it in different ways. Actually, when we see just the composition of different components and all that, we take up every component, what is functionality, like RAM, like hard disk, like motherboard, like keyboard, monitor screen, like that individually we consider. There the objective is different. We are understanding the functionalities of each and every component. Now all the components are classified into 6 groups depending on their functionality. That's why 6 units have come. In the 6 units also, the 3 are together performing a common functionality, that is processing. So of course these are identified as 3 different components, even though those are treated as CPU. By this study, you can, by understanding this organization, you can easily understand how data is processed and results are generated by a computer. All this is displayed through a block diagram. Computer organization can be displayed through a block diagram, and now I am going to draw and explain block diagram also. Of course, the same model, but different placements I show. In order to enable to have complete and concrete knowledge about the computer organization, I am explaining the block diagram. Don't blindly study, don't remember, just understand the functionality and every component. This is the core information. So if you have this knowledge, you can get answers for many of your probable future doubts. Every time I am telling you, we should make a logical study. There is no scope for by hearting or just remembering. So understand and own the concept. Already I told you, all the components in the computer can be classified into 6 groups depending on the functionality. Now what are the 6 units? Input unit, control unit 2, ALU 3, main memory 4, output unit 5, secondary storage 6. There are 6 units. What type of data is flown in the computer? One is either data or instructions flow. Second one is commands or signals. Commands or signals are given by control unit. Always you remember that. And now first control unit. As far as control unit is concerned, is the boss, subject to its supervision only. All components, all other components in the system should work. That is the basic principle. Control unit is the controller. So it controls every unit in the computer. What are the other 5 units? Input unit, output unit, ALU, arithmetic logical unit, main memory, secondary memory. There are 5 units. So as control unit control all the other 5 units. Now this dotted lines represents command or signal flow. So now you see dotted lines you can find from control unit to input. Just you see dotted line. Control unit to ALU, control unit to main memory, control unit to secondary memory, control unit to output. Simple way of control unit controls remaining 5 units in the computer. Remaining 5 units are input unit, output unit, ALU, main memory, secondary memory. So that's why dotted lines you can find from control unit to every other 5 units. And thereafter data. Data is not like that. Data, now we have to see. Now control unit. First let us understand what is the control unit. Interpret stored instructions in the sequence. Actually, we provide set of instructions and set of data in the form of program to the computer. So control unit interprets stored instructions in a sequence, issues command to all the elements of a computer. So it decodes all the instructions. Thereafter it gives command to all the component, all the elements means all other components in the computer. That you have to understand. Now what ALU perform? ALU perform is arithmetical operations and logical operations what are required in your program. So main memory holds the data and instructions and results of the processed result. So main memory current data and instructions in the program, and it holds the results of a program. So that is the thing. Secondary storage stores the data and instruction permanently for further use. And thereafter input what we give, not only data and instructions we give. Okay. And output processed information or processed result it stores. So now as far as data is concerned, let us see the lines. Data and instruction lines are thick lines. Now you see input unit sends data. Now you see the direction of the line, arrow is this side. So input unit to main memory. Okay. Thereafter you see processor result main memory to output unit. That also direction you see. Main memory to output unit, input unit to this thing, direction is one side. And this one you see CPU to main memory. So from CPU to main memory data both sides. So that you have to understand. And whatever the processed data comes to the main memory, what is the raw data is sent to the main memory. That's why you can find two-way direction here. Now this both already told you. CPU means normally many others these control unit and ALU together CPU. Some people it includes main memory also. There is no problem on that. Just understand the things. And thereafter you see main memory to secondary memory, that also two sides. Main memory to CPU, this is also two sides. But input unit to main memory only one direction, and main memory to output unit one direction. In this manner, if you logically understand things and all that, from the beginning. This is just the beginning of our course and all that. So, for everything, you should get answers for every doubt or question what is arise in your study. So, you study everything like that and own it. One thing you try, can I explain to anybody? One question. If you are confident to explain, whether you explained or not, I don't mind. If you are confident to explain it to somebody, means you know things, otherwise you cannot explain. So thoroughly understand this block diagram logically and own the concept.